Good morning, everybody. As you can see, I'm not at the office. My son is doing a long distance run, and I'm spending the morning making sure he's got water and some bananas and stuff like that to help with his run. So I thought I'd bring my camera down. We're at the Dogtown boat ramp right near the Vanderburgh County line. There's a pileated woodpecker. Um, and it's kind of a neat area. We come down here to look for birds. It's a good place certain time of year for that, for this time of year for ducks if it's flooded. And the water is getting pretty high. One of the reasons I decided to do a video down here is because when I think about the good stuff, I like to get outside. I like to look for birds and wildlife and things like that. But when you come down here, what you're mainly going to see are railroad tracks and fields, this time of year flooded fields instead of fields that are being farmed. And I don't know, maybe you find that beautiful, maybe you don't. I love it because it's one of the few places around here that's wide open and flat as a pancake, and you can see real far. I also like it because if I shut up for a minute and you listen, it sounds like spring, doesn't it? You can hear the birds, you can hear the frogs. The frogs are loud. We're almost to March, and to hear that sound, that's a good thing. That's a welcoming thing, at least for me. But one of the other reasons I really like this spot, well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna get to another spot, and I'll show you another good thing about this spot. So let me do a little driving, and I'll get back to you in a minute. All right, so I got out of the car a little bit. You can kind of see around me. This is what it looks like this time of year in these farm fields. It looks like a giant lake because the Ohio River does this funky bend. It really is pretty neat. The Ohio River is over there. That's where I was with the boat ramp where I was about over there. And if you followed the Ohio River, you could follow it on Old Henderson Road, and it goes all the way around here, and it keeps going, and you can barely see it over there on the other side of the tree line. See it? That's the Ohio River too. You might hear a barge right now. So this is like this giant flat peninsula of land it's surrounded by the Ohio River, which means you get all this water. You can't see them, but I'll bet you if you could get out onto that water, there's probably a ton of ducks out there. We've seen swans out there. We've seen whooping cranes here before. Lots of eagles and hawks. There's a ton of sparrows flying around right now. So it's a neat place because it seems kind of, for most people I suppose, kind of flat and boring, but there's so much life here that you could just drive by and completely miss. I also like it. It's one of my favorite places because it's quiet and there aren't a lot of people around, and I like to be able to get away from time to time, away from the city and away from the people. Finally, the other thing I like about this, even though you come now and it's farm fields, it was not always so. And this is one of the good things I especially wanted to talk about today. When I think about the good stuff, sometimes you look around and you think about how things probably used to be, and you realize they're not that way anymore, and you might get a little bit depressed, right? And I'm not sure that's the right way to look at things, because this place, for example, it wasn't originally all farm fields. I'm not going to take the video over there, but I can show you places where you can get little remnants of what this used to look like. Oh my goodness, the the cane brakes and the cypress and everything else. There was the wildlife must have been something amazing here, and it's tempting to look at what we've lost, and maybe it is a little bittersweet, but as Christians, we recognize that we haven't really lost anything, that the fall has changed everything, but that change that has come because of sin and death, it's temporary. And so when we look back and we look at the way things might have been, when we get to go out to a place like this and we get to imagine what it might have been like, we don't have to do that in a sad way. Instead, it's a good thing when we see something that sparks our imagination and makes us think about how it probably was, how it might have been. And yeah, that may give us kind of a feeling of longing. It may excite our imagination and then maybe depress us just a little bit. But as Christians, we recognize that God has this plan to reconcile and redeem all things, right? So we haven't lost anything. To use a terrible cliche, the best is yet to come, right? So when you come out to one of these places, when you see something and it does excite your imagination of how it could have been or it might have been, don't just think backwards, think forwards. Think about what's coming. Look in the scriptures at what God has to say about the new heaven and the new earth and the resurrection of the body. There are so many exciting things ahead, and it's a good thing to get out and to see the good and the bad of this world, and to recognize that there's a lot of exciting stuff that we're looking forward to seeing. Poor red-tailed hawk. Those red-winged blackbirds thinking about nesting, and that's what you're hearing. And those red-tailed hawks are not welcome. Anyway, my friends, get out, enjoy nature. Yeah, you're going to see some things that have changed, and you're going to wish that they were the way they used to be. But we got good things coming. Thanks be to Jesus. God bless your week.